Good morning, everyone. How are we all doing? What the fuck is that? Baby's face. Good morning, everyone. How are we all doing? I apologise. I can't control that. That's nearly two babies.
That's nearly two babies. Damn, I sup the EQ, I sup, let's go.
That's nearly two babies. Damn, I sup the EQ, I sup, let's go. Thank you very much for the 17 months of support, Pirate. What a guy. What a guy. Thank you very much. Dropping the sub.
You're a
as soon as the show starts.
superstar.
You're welcome. Don't you be afraid. Okay, we'll stop. But we love you very much. Thank you very much.
MCA territory there with that rendition.
It's not the first time this week because I'm do you know what? I'm quite frankly, I'm sick and tired of hearing all these people talk about what's the deal with this pop. Okay, so we'll stop. Dirty pops. Okay, we'll stop. How are we all doing? Welcome into twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. My name is Graham Day. No one's complained in the chat, so I'm assuming the audio is good. And this is a rather more normal looking Bibby than when we first started. I'll read, Bib.
Good morning, Graham.
Good morning. So yes, my name's Graham. This is Bib. We are Ice Cream Uploads, and in true ice creamy fashion, this is The Scoop, the UK's #1 video game podcast, even if we do say so ourselves. Anyway, we are here to give you our thoughts and impressions on the biggest, the best, and the breaking stories from the world of video games. And there's some tasty ones today. That's a spicy meatball, as I said on social media. Nice. Anyway, we're going to give you our thoughts and impressions, but we want your thoughts and impressions on our thoughts and impressions. So if you are live with us right here, right now on Twitch, we do go live at 10 a.m. ish each and every single weekday on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. If you are live with us, please do give us those thoughts and impressions because we turn this live stream into a podcast, a video on YouTube, and an audio podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, all the places where you can get us coming in your ears. Sorry. I know that's not ours. We've stolen it. Fine. We won't say that again. But yeah, you can get us on demand through all of those places, but you cannot give us your thoughts and impressions live when we're on demand. So you guys that are with us here live right now on Twitch, please feel free to use your voice on behalf of everyone else watching and listening on demand whenever they want. Do you know? Whenever they want. So yeah, say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever it is. Before we start the show though, first things first, ! Loot drop. Just a reminder that we do a giveaway each and every single month where we give a little bit of something back to one of our subscribers. This month's loot drop is a copy of Valheim or a game that tickles your fancy, because we don't want to lock it down to Valheim. You might think, well, I've just subscribed and I've got a game that I don't care about. Well, do you know what? We'll give you something else. Whatever you want, So we'll lead with Valheim.
You may already have it.
Because, yeah, exactly. It's the biggest game right now, so we'll lead with that, but we'll give you whatever game you want. Within reason, obviously, none of that like £700 obviously standard editions and stuff. But as well as that, ! Insert coin. Despite me not being able to read a calendar yesterday, I found out that we're actually streaming on Insert Coin next week. So next Wednesday, myself and Bib will be streaming on @official Insert Coin on Twitch. We are part of the Insert Coin stream family, the Coin Army. So we will be joining. We will be hosting our own content over there. Part 2 of A Way Out. So if you watched us play part 1 a month or so ago, it's about 5 weeks ago now, we played part 1. We'll be finishing off the game with part 2 next Wednesday from around 6 p.m. So feel free to join us for that. Should be about 3 hours-ish long, maybe longer, depends on how long it takes us to do things and stuff. We will see. So anyway, we'll jump into the split screen. How's things, Bib?
Good, man. What about you? How was your day yesterday? Did you play any games?
I didn't. Not a single game at all. Very, very busy day. I don't know if the transition worked for everyone then, but it absolutely just did not for me. It kind of did and didn't. It changed the screens and then went and ran the transition afterwards. It's like, that's the point of the transition. It's meant to hide the changing of the scenes. But yes, there you go. No video games at all for me. Not even a game of Spotify. I did watch, not Spotify, PUBG. I did watch a little bit on...
A game of Spotify?
Yeah, I love a game of Spotify. I did watch a little bit on Twitch. But yeah, it was by the time I'd finished work stuff, Tuesday's usually a busy day. It was like past 6 o'clock-ish last night, then eaten, then watched the end of the Champions League football. It was just like, no video games for me. What about you?
Did I play any video? Yeah, I played a bit more Borderlands 3. I think I'm about 12 hours into that now. Apparently it's only like a 20-hour game for the main thing, for the main story. So I'm 8 hours away. and then tried playing some 10v10 last night. We played one game, and then the servers shut themselves again, so no one could get back into the game lobbies again. We was meant to be playing 3 games, and we only ended up playing 1 after like an hour and a half of trying. So yeah, that was my evening. What did I play? Did I play anything after that? Yes, I did. I was playing games on my PS2 emulator. Of course I was. What else was I going to be doing?
Of course it was.
MLS Extra Time, if no one's ever played that one. That's a fantastic football game. It was from 2001, I want to say. So it's using like the old PES engine, but just with MLS teams. Fantastic game. And then
this is great prep, by the way. Nice, nailing
Yeah.
this. and
LA
then
Manager.
turns away.
I was looking on my shelf because I've been sorting out all my games. Oh, it's here. LMA 2002 to 2003. Fantastic game. I've been ripping them so I could put them on my PC so I could play them via the emulator, so I don't have to keep on bringing up my PlayStation 2 every 2 seconds to be able to play these games. But yeah, that's what I was playing last night. Fantastic game. If anyone's not picked, I think they are quite expensive these now, especially LMA 2007 on the Xbox 360. I'm fairly certain it's about 60-70 quid to be able to play these games again. So yeah, fantastic football games. That was my evening.
Just to confirm, if there is 20 hours of the main Borderlands 3 storyline and Bibby is 12 hours in, that means Bibby's got about 4 more hours before he gives up on it, because that tends to be the story. Fuck, I'm stuck. Let's give up. Fuck this. Fuck this shit. I'm out. Last 20%. Nope.
Just out with me there, mate. Don't worry about
it. Good morning, everyone that's in the chat. Though. Let's have a run through and see who's here. Mr. Number One Pirate. Obviously, we know he's here because he dropped the 17-month baby. Well, almost twin baby as we start the show. Good morning, Mr. Louis Ferno as well. I'll rate pet. How's things? Pipcules dropping the exclamation mark ICU. People don't tend to use that very often, so it's nice to see. I mean, understandable because it would just absolutely clog up the chat if people used it all the time. But yeah, good use of it. GG's, Pipcules. Good morning, Mr. Gary Clark as well. I'll rate. West is in the house. Pirate says, wait, do you do impressions as well? Who, me? I don't know, do I? Big Work Guy says, hello, who are you? Well, I'm me. Who are you? I'm Graham, as it says there. That is Bib. And we are Ice Cream Uploads. Who are you? Who are you? Tell us a bit about yourself. How did you find this? Show yourself. Do you know, I've got the audio. Do I have the audio file? I might have killed it because... Oh, no, actually, I do.
Show yourself.
There you go. Show yourself. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, tell us a bit about yourself. Feel free. I mean, you don't have to, but you can if you want. West dropping the insert coin command. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you very much, dude. Am I allowed to abuse Bibby when Saints win tonight? I just want to point out that yes, you are. But also, remember what happened last time.
Yes, yeah, very wise words. Very wise words.
For those that don't know, West is a Saints fan, a Southampton fan, and he came in and told us that we were going to get, I don't know, basically slapped for 90 minutes, and then that was the one where the capitulation happened. So yeah, we'll see, West. I appreciate the boldness though. After last time, you got some minerals. Gary says Borderlands 3 is so good. Asim says it took us about 50 odd hours to complete it with all the DLC so far to need more. Is there more? Will there be more?
World exclusive.
Mr. Gary Clark says, I've never even heard of that MLS game, let alone played it. Is it a mod? Is that what it is?
No.
Oh, okay.
A real deal game. I first played it on my GameCube, but then I found out it was on the PS2 as well. So the Retro PES guys, the absolute shaggers, hooked me up, shall we say.
Nice. Erodi Wankinobi says, hello, I'll read. Good morning. Gary Clark says, everyone knows these two shaggers.
Well, 2,398 of us.
Yes. Getting close to 2,400. These numbers are flying up. Do you know what? Genuinely.
I'm sure we reached that yesterday, you know. Like, when we started the stream this morning, there was 2,399. One of you fuckers has unfollowed us.
Yeah, damn it. Yeah, so the numbers are flying up, though. We have been doing a lot of extra content, and the lockdown consistency has helped, and probably, I imagine, playing some PES co-op with Tom Jizzle might have a little bit of an influence on that number, but not much. I mean, pretty much we're the ones that are supporting him when we play with him, so that's what it is. We're adding to it. So yeah, I mean, but the numbers are flying up. So
Said that.
Shh, don't know. We will love you, Tommy. Yeah. So anyone that is here in the stream, we appreciate. Anyone that's dropped follows and stuff, we do appreciate it. It's nice to see the channel going in the right direction. Nice. Wes says, "What could possibly go wrong?" I don't know. Erodi Kenobi has redeemed. Ask a question. Manchester United and a fellow citizen. My question for both of you is, realistically, what players would you remove from your respective clubs and who would you bring in? I think there is one universal answer that everyone would bring in, and it was once again reconfirmed last night. Erling Haaland, naturally. I was talking the other day. I don't know if I've finished the point or if I got distracted. I can't quite remember, but I don't throw out superlatives for footballers along the lines of, oh, he's the next Messi, he's the next Maradona, he's the next Ronaldo. Like, I'm not interested in those sort of conversations, because how many of the next Messis have we had whilst Messi has still been here, and there's still only one Messi? No one's got close. And we've seen it with players like Coutinho had some great years and then didn't, and then Ousmane Dembele is going to be exceptional but then wasn't. So many other players, but I genuinely believe that Erling Haaland will be a 10-year player at the top of the game. I believe he's not Messi, he's not Ronaldo. If anything, maybe he's a bit more like Zlatan in terms of his overall physique, build, play style, his ability to do everything. But I think he is going to be a long-term top of the game player. I would love United to sign him. I think if we were going to sign him, we would have got him last year, though. I now think he is too much of a hot property, and United are too stingy. So there's a very small element of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being, compatriot. We can share bants, and I've managed you before and stuff like that. But I think if that doesn't mean anything when someone says, 70 bajillion pounds. Okay, nice, in a bit, Ole. So I can see. Maybe someone like Madrid, Real, or City, someone like that getting him. I would love United to get him. I'd love it. Who would I get rid of? I can't. I mean, I'd have to properly think about. Oh, Fred. There we go. That's who I'd get rid of. I know. He's not good enough. Not good enough. The worst thing about Fred is that there are people that see him playing okay now and not shit previously and think, oh, that's it. He's playing okay now. Yeah, okay is not good enough. Shit is not good enough, but upscaling to okay is better than being shit, but still not good enough. He's not a good enough United player. We need a defensive midfielder. That's what United need. Anyway, over to you, babe.
I don't think there's anyone that I'd actually get rid of. I don't think we've got that much deadwood, if I'm being honest, because I don't know if anyone has watched City over the last 2 years, but no one really knows what team Pep's going to go out with every single week, so everyone seems to be getting games. He's got a really good rotation going on, but if there's one thing that we need more than anything, and I can't believe for like 3 transfer windows we haven't even got one, but when Aguero's not in the team, we don't score that many goals. I seen a stat 2 days ago, and I couldn't believe it. I had to Google it, and it was absolutely correct. United have scored 1 less goal than City, despite having 4,000 passes less. How fucking weird is that? Like, you think City are on a massive goal scoring run. Fair enough, we haven't conceded that many times this year, but United have passed the ball 4,000 times left and score 1 goal less.
So
that is
what
incredible.
You mean is we are ruthlessly direct, and you guys are a BTEC Arsenal. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, essentially, because we haven't got Aguero to finish them off. I think we're leading the chances created by an absolute landslide, but no one's there to finish them. I mean, it's embarrassing, really.
It's quite a good start, but also not. It depends which way you crunch those numbers, because having those 4,000 passes, being able to have that much possession and control that play and create those chances is exceptional. That's what our problem is. We are a counter-attacking team that hit with pace because we just don't have the ability to hold the ball. Matic and Fred in midfields just don't have that ability to play quick passes.
Yeah.
Fred's ability to play any passes on some days is just not there. So yeah, you get that spearhead, that Aguero talismanic figure, and then 4,000 extra passes suddenly become punishing.
Yep.
So
that's where Haaland's going to come in and score 4,000 goals.
Get the fuck off his mind. I said it first. It's mine. It's mine. Anyway, that's enough of the football chat. Let's talk about video games news before we do. Let's jump through the comments. Chat, we're in the presence of the greatest 10v10 left back in recent history.
That's coming from the best right back in 10v10 history, Inferno. Nice one, Led.
Game recognises game. Mendy is kind of deadwood now, though, says Irodi Wankanobe.
Oh, yeah. It's got legs like Weetabix. It's so brittle.
Pirate says you need a backup keeper, Bibby, as well. Who wants Scott Carson? Carson. Haaland is like Ibra with speed. Yeah, exactly. Haaland is like Ibra with speed. Like Mbappe, I know he is young and has done an incredible amount at a young age. World Cup winner already. But I still feel he on the pitch hasn't necessarily fully proved himself like Haaland has. Haaland's done more with less around him. So I don't rate Mbappe. I do. I just think, okay, maybe a few more years I might put my hat in the line and say, yeah, okay, that's it. Mbappe is the real deal for long term. But Haaland, I'd do that right now. Goat recognises goat.
Did you see Haaland's interview?
I didn't know.
Last week, I think. It was saying like, yeah, I dream of winning the European Cup like Arsenal. And the reporter goes, Arsenal never won the European Cup. He went, yeah, as I said, dreaming of winning the European Cup like Arsenal. It made me absolutely piss myself. It's just so funny. It's like, where's he getting this banter from? Like, football players don't have this kind of banter.
He's technically is a northerner. Wasn't he born in Leeds?
Yeah.
So
yeah, he was. Yeah.
So he's a Northern Yorkshireman. All Northern Yorkshiremen, well, Northern slash, because it's not North Yorkshire, that's West Yorkshire. But all West Yorkshiremen are exceptional beings. Oh, I'm a West Yorkshire. Anyway, let's jump into the news. we get the idea of the mediocre bands. You nice. Anyway, okay, let's jump into some news. The first story is, like I said on Twitter, a spicy meatball. Do you know what? I'm going to go and hit retweet on our latest tweet just because I can. I quote tweeted it. Hardcore retweet now. Boom, retweet, copy link address. I mean, feel free to go and hit retweet on yourself if you want. You know, it doesn't hurt. You can do that. It will get more people in as part of the discussion. And then as well as that, do you know what? Let's forget the news story for just another second. When you see a buy one, get one free deal on Krispy Kremes.
He's such a wanker.
Shout out to Mr. Garlic Clark, aka Gary Clark, in the chat for that. Oh, by the way, Garlic Clark has been outed as well. I didn't comment because I was busy as feck yesterday. I did see the messages, but I was like doing 3 or 4 things. But Mr. Number One Pirate, please stand up.
Yeah.
The secret I didn't ever want to know, but now I do. Mr. Number One Pirate just kind of fumbled the ball. Mr. Number One Pirate hides. So Number One Pirate is Garlic Clark. The truth is out there, but it's fine. It belongs to be out there. Nice. Appreciate it. Nice one. Anyway, okay, back into the news. You may have seen the lead story. It's in the link that I've just posted in the chat. If you can retweet that would be appreciated. You don't have to, though. But this is it for if you haven't seen it on Twitter already. Sherif Saed at VG247 has this story. Naughty Dog seemingly working on a multiplayer PS5 game. Naughty Dog looks to be getting into the multiplayer live service sphere. Naughty Dog, the studio, mostly known for its award-winning single-player story-based games, is apparently working on a multiplayer project so big, in fact, that the developer wants to do in-game economy rights. At least that's what we can glean from this job ad. Spotted by GameSpot, the job opening is specifically for a multiplayer economy designer who's going to be responsible for creating a meaningful reward system for players and ensure the game remains engaging for a long time. Naughty Dog makes specific mention of avenues for self-expression, which typically refers to customization items and cosmetics. The ad also confirms that the chosen candidate will be working with the game's live ops team, which could be a hint that this is a big project for Naughty Dog. As for what it could be, the page makes no mention of the game, genre, or even what type of multiplayer game it is. Naughty Dog has done multiplayer in the past, of course, most notably with Uncharted and the original Last of Us, but this sounds like a bigger commitment likely for PS5. Prior to the release of The Last of Us Part 2, the developer confirmed that significant work has gone into a multiplayer mode, which the studio decided to pause in order to finish the core game. If this job ad is for that evolved factions multiplayer, it will likely be a standalone game. I mean, that's instantly where my mind goes. Factions. But what does your mind say, Bib? What are you thinking? Were you talking then?
Gary's put it in the chat, and I was trying to think of which direction I wanted to start in, and then Gary's comment in the chat kind of swayed me to what it said. I'm so hyped for The Last of Us 2 factions and multiplayer. The original MP was surprisingly decent, and that's exactly what you just said. Well, do we think that Naughty Dog could pull it off and create a really, really, really good multiplayer? I don't see why they can't. I'm just interested to see what kind of game that they go with, what kind of genre of game. Because I think they're so good at creating stories. In a multiplayer game, stories are irrelevant. Like, there isn't many, unless it's a co-op multiplayer game, or in an actual live service multiplayer game, as like maybe an MMO or just like an open world RPG. I don't know. Is that going to be too big of a project for them to be able to pull off? I think if anyone was to be able to do it in terms of writing a decent story, enough story for a multiplayer live service game, something that Anthem didn't have, Naughty Dog would be the people that you probably would. But is that going above and beyond what they're capable of?
No, I'll tell you what it is.
I don't know.
I'll tell you what it is. It's Last of Us Battle Royale. Okay, maybe not. Maybe not.
Yes, of course. Why not?
Just before we continue, first things first. Say I'm going to ask you to say a word, and you just repeat it, just so I can tell how bad the lag is between us. Say the word pencil.
Pencil.
It's not too bad. It's good. It's good. I thought there was a little bit of you changing your mind and a bit of lag between us at the start of that bit then, because you were kind of like, I was like, is he dead? is he live? But no, it seems like we're good now.
I was reading like little snippets inside the article to try and form a point, but then Gary's comment caught me off guard, and so did because what you said was pretty much what he said. So I was trying to merge it all together, and words failed me, as it very often does.
No comment. No comment. Let's just stop for a second and enjoy the music as we have yet another Tharian Drake raid. Can we get some love in the chat, please? Please, thank you very much. If anyone fancies doing a shout out as well, !! SO and then Tharian Drake, just so we can send some love to Mr. Tharian Drake, as well as everyone that's coming from the raid. How have the games been? Have we been playing games? What have we been playing? The last streaming art. There you go. So we had a creative session. What you been drawing? For those that do want a nice, relaxing session, for us, it's a good start to the day. If you start the day and you want something that's just a bit of creative flair on in the background while you're working away, then I do recommend checking out Tharian Drake. It's a nice, peaceful stream. Nice. Working on the guild hall for the D&D stream. Nice. There you go. If you fancy any D&D content as well, jump in there too. Nice. Thank you very much once again for a raid, Tharian Drake, dude. Appreciate it. We are currently talking about Naughty Dog currently working on a multiplayer experience for PS5. We've gone through an article from VG247 that says that they're recruiting for people to come in and work on those experiences, but there's nothing on what game, what genre. So we're now kind of throwing ideas around as to what that could be. The initial reaction that I had, which Gary in the chat had, is Factions, which was the multiplayer element for The Last of Us Part 1. They were working on a Last of Us Part 2 multiplayer element, but the game got delayed, and I assume, obviously this wasn't in writing, but I assume because the game got delayed, was it last April, whenever the game was supposed to come out and then did get delayed. Anyway, it was delayed. They had to put it back to make sure that everything worked, everything was spot on. I think multiplayer potentially was going to be, maybe not then, maybe even before then, it was going to be a launch game, but they've decided, okay, for resources and time and to get the game out in the right release window, featuring last generation and then in time for the next generation, we have to pause the multiplayer element. So this being that does sound like it could be that for me. That said, the article mentioned avenues for self-expression, so customization items and cosmetics is what it rumours at, and they will work with the live ops team. So that kind of is not just multiplayer fire and forget. There's your multiplayer, go and shoot, go and attack each other, go and have online warfare, and leave it as that. That kind of says to me that this is a bit more. I mean, live ops, live service, continued content. Maybe not forever, but yeah, it definitely has an element of that. So if the multiplayer mode is standalone, it sounds like they want it to be a bit more significant than just having factions, where that kind of ties into, before I jump in, actually, RL Trader, thank you for the follow. I didn't notice that one. I was probably mid-ramble then, but I appreciate it. He's in the chat as well. He says, what's up? Hey, welcome in. Naughty Dog Jack and Daxter MMO? Question mark, says Daria Drake. Oh, I don't know. We will see.
I'd be interested in seeing what that looks like.
Where was Mr. T's comment? There we go. I was thinking about this. Perhaps the multiplayer focus on the settlement in the game, where there's a slight bit of story linked to that side of things. You'll have factions and perhaps additional stuff too within the settlement. See, I was thinking, that's a good angle, because there is crafting in The Last of Us anyway. I mean, just in terms of crafting weapons. I haven't played The Last of Us 2, so that could have developed. No spoilers. So that could have developed from the first game. So there's already crafting elements in it. Yes, very small in the first game, and I assume potentially in the second game, but the theory of it is there. So that's a good basis for something of a settlement base buildery almost sort of game. And I think that probably fits into the Last of Us universe better than just straightforward go online and kill each other game. Because if you want a game that is go online and just kill each other and just have team deathmatches and battle royales, then FPSs already have all of those mechanics nailed. The Last of Us is about the beauty that the game brings. So you kind of want some of the competition, but not purely about mechanical reactions. So I think that would kind of fit in with it a bit more with me. Enix says, will be decent if it's similar to Saints Row original multiplayer with gangs. That was too good. I can't remember that one. I can't remember. I did play all the way through the original Saints Row.
I can't remember that one.
I mean, although
I played the living shit out of all Saints Row, but I can't remember going online with that.
That was early Xbox 360 days, so maybe I wasn't connected at that point because I was in the middle of the trying to find one of the Wi-Fi adapters that actually worked. So yeah, I don't know. Factions, you go out and battle for resources, use them to build your settlement and make it better to push back gangs / infected. See, I mean that's kind of it. Then you've got to kind of think. I mean, maybe we see something a bit more seasonal. So the battle pass learnings that the industry have had over the last few years, obviously all of that is post The Last of Us. Battle passes and season passes didn't exist back then, and that's probably a model that could quite easily go into that. Because if they're looking at customization items and cosmetics, as the article says, that's their punt at it, because the way it's actually written in the job description is avenues for self-expression. If they're looking at that, then that's skins. That's a new outfit for Joel. That's a new outfit for Ellie or whichever other characters. Or if it's not those characters, if it's just your character in the factions a bit and you're not playing with the mainline characters, then maybe you can decorate your character with Joel's beard, with Ellie's tattoo kind of thing. So that, but then moving forward off of that, I imagine there's a good avenue for seasonal content in there. When are you lads playing PES again? I don't know. Good question. We'll come back to you on that one. You made a gang, had your own base, etc., where your gang members would spawn when you log in. Then you go out and fight other gangs for money, etc.
That sounds like something that I definitely would have been banged into, so I don't understand why I missed that.
Was that online? I thought that was like just in the game. Or is that what you're talking about? I remember it being in the game in terms of like you go to your area in Stillwater when you've took over it, and yeah, there's a bunch of people walking around in purple. You go to another area and there's a bunch of people walking around in yellow. Obviously, you're the Third Street Saints, so you're all kitted out in purple. And I remember that being in the game, but I don't think I ever played the multiplayer. Yeah, it was a modded multiplayer. Oh, okay, well there you go. I must have just.
That's devastating. I don't understand why I missed that. It literally sounds like something that's right on my street, because I played the ever-loving shit out of the Saints Row series, and I can't believe I missed that if that was the case.
Gary says, I think Faction started off similar to The Last of Us multiplayer, but they've evolved it into something bigger and with more depth, something like Asim mentioned. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, either way, it should be decent. It's based... Well, we assume it's based on The Last of Us. We don't actually know that it's for The Last of Us. That's kind of us just linking it to it. I mean, if it's... Let's go down that avenue then. So... They are recruiting for something. Are we all pretty much nailed on that it is for The Last of Us? Do we think that this could be for something different as well, or not? And if it is The Last of Us, how do we feel that this works then? Is this a free-to-play game? If they're having cosmetics and live ops, aka it's a live service game, does this become a free-to-play add-on?
I hope not.
Or is this more like... What was the DLC? I forget it every time, and Asim or Gary always jump in with the name. The one where you play through with Nadia.
Lost Legacy.
Lost Legacy. There we go. Is it more like the Lost Legacy, where it's a standalone £20 DLC that then has live ops features in it? What?
I'd rather that. I'd rather pay for the quality rather than trying to force my hand into microtransactions to build it up. I mean, obviously the best free-to-play model out there is probably Fortnite, and it's one that everyone wants to try and replicate in terms of it doesn't really give you much else barring the skins that are in the game. But I don't want to get to a point where if it is based on The Last of Us and you have to buy new materials to build your settlement for it to be a little bit stronger, or there's a little bit of a medical resource that you need because your health isn't regenerating as fast enough, or you run out of spawns or something like that. I have no idea what the concept of it will be, but the fact that if it is a free-to-play game and you have something like that available in the game, it would automatically just stop me from playing it. I just wouldn't be happy with that. I'd much rather pay... fuck it. I'd much rather pay the £50 if I know that it's going to be a decent enough online experience. Fair enough. It may be a £30 game and there might be a season pass stuff. That's absolutely fine by me because it means that you've got a little bit of grinding in the game. Maybe what makes you want to come back and play it a little bit more. But the fact that if it is like if they do got like a free to play route and then you have to, everything might be on a timer, or it's just impossible to be able to try and get the resources that you need to try and either make your base better or stronger. And chucking £2 or £3 in will speed that process up 500%. That does not strike me as a decent enough game for me to want to keep on coming back and playing it. It would just be instantly disregarded. In my opinion.
Wouldn't have thought they'd go that avenue. I mean, I think they could do. I mean, there are a number of free to play games that. Yeah, base builders, you tend to do get that. Oh, you can just use one cog to speed up the process. A cog is basically another step in the chain, which means 79 pence or whatever it is. And by the time you've sped up all your processes, you don't realise you're down 3.99 or whatever it is. So, yeah, I wouldn't have thought it'd be that way for Naughty Dog because they're just not that kind of company. That's either very mobile centric or very churn-centric businesses, and Naughty Dog have always been narrative first, so I could see them doing probably the pricing version first. That said, I think they could do the free-to-play element, but be more like Battle Royales in that sense, so that you get Warzone, you can play it to your heart's content. If you want the extra skins and the cosmetics and purely have aesthetic items, then you can subscribe to the battle pass or whatever. I could see them more if they were going to do a free to play game. I would expect Naughty Dog to go into something like that where you would get a guaranteed return on your investment, but there is no speed up time elements. That the grind is in the game rather than from the wallet kind of thing. That's the way I'd expect it to go. But yeah, if it was a battle pass element, I'd be open for that. I'd like to see how a business like Naughty Dog, which I've got no reason to doubt them in terms of milking me for my money. I'd like to see how they work on a free-to-play version, because that could inject some insight and some new ways of thinking into the industry. So I wouldn't be too against that. I'd like to see how they do it. That said, I agree. Gary's echoed your comments. Like Bib, I would much rather it being a paid add-on rather than a freebie, and then you get stung by microtransactions. I agree. If it comes down to every decision is, you lack that immersion because you're thinking, okay, well, I want to play the game and I want to do this and my character, and actually I need to get my wallet thoughts back out because this is another financial transaction. It breaks immersion, not let alone all of the financial implications. It just breaks the immersion in the game. So, but yeah, I wouldn't expect Naughty Dog to go down that route. As for the Saints Row stuff, Enix says that, yeah, they got rid of it and it kicked off bad. Then they never went back to it. Tharian says, I remember that and it was a lot of fun. I do not remember that at all. Which
I'm going to have to YouTube it afterwards.
Mr. T says they might do it as a boxed re-release, call it the Last of Us Game of the Year edition that has PS5 upgrades, plus do Asim wrote PS percentage upgrades. I knew exactly what he means because what he's done there is he's held shift and typed PS5 and it gives you PS percent. I do that all the time. So I knew exactly what that was. They might do it as a box release, call it the Last of Us Game of the Year edition that has PS5 upgrades, plus do a paid digital add-on as well as free PS5 upgrades if you already own it. I mean, I can see that. That's where you kind of you have the thought process of if it becomes free to play, then it could sell the Game of the Year edition as well. Because from a purely business marketing perspective, it's obviously if you get the PS5 edition, you get the multiplayer within it. That's one way of doing it. Or the other way is, okay, do you put the PS5 edition out and put the multiplayer out for free? Almost in the same mindset of PES Lite. Try PES Lite. And if you like the multiplayer element, then you can get full PES and all of the game bits within it. So it'd be interesting to see if they go that way as well. If they release multiplayer as a precursor or a seller for the full game. That said, I'm not sure Naughty Dog would ever want to release something as a taster. Everything that they don't seem to be a business that works in tasters. It's a case of there's your full meal, enjoy it all. Not have a taster and then come back and tell me if you like it. It's no, you're gonna like it, buy it. So yeah. Well, I want a PS.
I think it's going to be an interesting 2 years to see where they go with that.
Yeah, we'll see. Gary says, I want a PS percentage. Graham has PS 50% more than us. Probably easier to get one of those than it is to get a PS5. Touche. There was actually a shitload of them this morning, by the way. From about 8:30 till about 9:30, I think Game, Very, and a few others all had stock that went online. There was a shitload of Series X and S's yesterday, but there was a lot of PS5 movement today. And I believe Game or Argos, I can't remember which one it is, are about to, if not, they've done it already today and I've not seen it, they're about to have some more this week as well. So if you are after PS5s, you're probably still going to have to fight against scalpers, but there has been a lot more waves over the last couple of weeks. So it might start to get easier now. We will see. But anyway, to summarize, Naughty Dog are working on a multiplayer, whether that is a standalone game, whether that is an addition to The Last of Us Part 2 and is free to people that own it already, whether it's free to everyone or whether it's a game that runs on in-game transactions and purchases, we will see. But we'll keep you updated as the story develops. Speaking, though, of in-game transactions and purchases, this is a story that tends to wet the whistles of people's keyboards. I don't know if your whistle has a keyboard, but it does now. So basically, we talk about this quite often, and it tends to be not a heated subject, but a subject we all tend to feel passionate about. There has been an advancement in the world of loot box within football games in particular. Obviously, it has implications for the wider industry, but that's kind of where our focus is. So this story, written by Stephanie Nunnelet for VG247 yesterday afternoon, says that Germany is looking into making games with the loot boxes 18 plus. So games with loot boxes may soon carry an 18 plus rating in Germany. This is according to the Bundestag, the German parliament's lower house, which has passed the Youth Protection Act, according to Der Spiegel, which was submitted to this article via Eurogamer. Anyway, the goal behind the piece of legislation is to protect children from gambling-like mechanisms. Because the body considers loot box as a form of gambling, games that contain loot boxes could soon be classified as an 18-plus game, affecting titles and franchises such as FIFA, which currently carries a PEGI 3 rating due to its Ultimate Team collection. This mode offers card sets for sale. Legislation still needs approval by the Federal Council and could become law sometime this spring. FIFA is just one game that has come under fire from various governments over the years for the use of loot boxes. Most recently, a class action lawsuit against EA was filed with the US District Court of Northern California, and back in October 2019, a class action lawsuit was filed against EA in Canada, and it was fined 10 million euros in the Netherlands. The publisher is challenging the penalty. This isn't the first time EA has been singled out. In 2017, the French government called the firm out for loot boxes in Star Wars Battlefront 2, stating they were uncomfortably close to gambling. The following year, the firm removed paid loot boxes from the game, but this was due to pressure from players. The boxes were no longer made available for real-world currency and were instead earned by logging into game daily, completing challenges, and hitting various reaching milestones. So, not a new story, but one that we do like a little bit of a chat about. Germany is looking into making loot boxes illegal. That will make FIFA an 18 plus, no longer a 3 plus, 18 plus. Bib, what are your thoughts?
At what point then does this become a massive global scale problem? Because that will be Belgium and Germany that have taken this away from people. I mean, I think in Belgium, they've still made this available to minors, children, kids, whatever you want to put there. So it's available for all ages. But have they just removed the ability to be able to buy coins in the game? So you can still, like, they've introduced stuff to be able to grind towards, so you can essentially get the same targets, but it will involve you probably putting in like 10 hours worth of gameplay to reach that, rather than spending 30 quid on packs that could potentially get you there faster. I'm interested to see at what point does the line get crossed globally, like how many countries need to band together to try and get this eradicated from the game altogether. And I'm not just talking about FIFA. There's obviously hundreds of games out there now that aren't just based off of season passes that will entice you to be able to put money into the games to try and get rewards faster, or potentially rewards that you can't get any other way. At what point does this then become a problem for every video game company in a country? I'm waiting to see where this goes, because I don't think it's going to be much longer before the world's court gets involved with this, especially countries like Germany are starting to stand up as well.
I think the more interesting thing for me, though, is before it even gets to the courts, I think this is now where change potentially happens from within. And not necessarily within EA, but from FIFA themselves. So we've had this conversation before that FIFA is their kind of remit is that football should be for everybody. That's kind of one of their core principles. And if their brand FIFA is on a game that is only available for 18 plus, then that changes something that's never happened before. Obviously, the Belgium situation doesn't stop the game being available to anyone. Everyone can still play it. They've just removed the ability to do certain things within Ultimate Team, but you can still, as a 4-year-old kid, go out and get the game and play it. Job's a good one. But this changes that. In Germany, obviously, only, but still, if this gets passed by spring, which is ahead of the next game release, FIFA could be an 18 plus, which means that a large proportion of the FIFA player base, and it doesn't matter what proportion actually, really, of the player base can't play the game, but a large proportion won't be able to play this game. If you're 17 or under, nah, it's not for you. Sorry, you'll have to wait. You'll have to play something else. Which then FIFA's like, okay, well, you're alienating the youth, the people that we kind of want to inspire to be the footballers that they can see in the game. We want them to pick up a football and play. We want the video games to inspire that, and they can't. So that becomes a problem then. FIFA then say, okay, we've given you our brand that should be football accessible for everyone, everywhere, regardless, and you now have alienated a lot. So that starts to have conversations they've never had to have internally, or not to that extent. They probably had conversations internally, and I think that is more likely to get a change than any of the potential on rumbling legal stuff, because EA, just like with Star Wars and Disney, the Star Wars stuff pissed off Disney, so they made changes. This stuff could piss off FIFA, which will then make them make changes, because it's ultimately their brand at the end of it. So I think that could be the telling thing.
Do you think there'll be a point at somewhere in the future, whether or not it'll be a year to 5 years down the line, where this kind of thing is just eradicated from games altogether? Because I'm afraid, as much as I hate putting microtransactions into video games, I would also hate. Like, the reason I don't play FIFA now is because the things like SBCs and weekend league and qualifications and stuff like that. I just don't have the time. Like, I genuinely don't have the time to be able to sit there on my phone trading to try and get these SBCs, to try and pick together 11 particular players to put into a team to potentially get something out of the end of it, whilst trying to find other ways of trying to, buy players that will sell in a week or two because the prices have gone up, and then throw all of those out for people to buy, then have enough money to be able to try and it's the FIFA itself isn't made. The game isn't made for people like me anymore. I don't have the time. Like teenager Bibby, up until probably the age of 19, 20. Yeah, probably I would have enough time. Like, I would have been playing all the time. I'd play so much more pro clubs than I would do Ultimate Team. But the game nowadays it isn't built for someone with the time like me. I just don't have it. Simple as that. So me being able to potentially throw in a couple of quid and get packs out, not that I have, because I don't play FIFA that often. If I do, it's for pro clubs. But to throw a few quid and be able to get something out at the end of it. Obviously, there's been documentaries and stuff like that about child gambling, which is clearly a massive issue because kids are using the parents' cards to be able to try and buy packs. Like that is an addiction in itself. It's the same way that a fruit machine is in a pub. But at what point do we say, right, that fruit machine can't be in the pub anymore? Like, where's the line with all of this? I know it's kind of a stupid thing to try and comment to make, but if you take it out of a game that's enjoyed by not just kids, by adults as well, does that mean that fruit machines can't be available in pubs?
I believe.
Where's the line?
I think fruit machines are age restricted, though, aren't they? I mean, it's obviously probably not enforced, but I'm fairly sure that each fruit machine has like an 18+.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Thingy on it. So that's kind of already, in theory, done that. Whether that's upheld or not is kind of down to the landlord's faults there.
But it's still an enticement, though, isn't it? If someone has a gambling problem.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's potentially a slightly different issue, although it is one that follows on in terms of where do you stop? Because if there's the potential for enticement, you, in theory, then would be better off just getting rid of the entire gambling industry. But then that's like censorship, and that's a different human right that's kind of been smashed to bits. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting though. It's interesting to see, like you mentioned, Ultimate Team, and it not really been a game that you'd play. Obviously, this will stop a lot of people that play Ultimate Team from playing the game, no doubt, but it will change the way that those games are made, because there is some huge potential issues and negative issues. A lot of people want to see corporations get slapped about a bit, but if EA go from making 10 billion a year, I don't know how much it's probably much more, it could be much less, 10 billion a year, I'm just saying that because it's round. If they go from making 10 billion a year from Ultimate Team and then they get told that they can't make that money in that same way, they won't have the freedom to even if they're still profiting 2 billion a year, that's a shitload of money to profit. But if you're not profiting the same money or more every year, that has huge implications for your projections as a business and what you're willing to risk and build on. So that does have implications. So if this does get stripped out, yes, we can easily sit there and say, well, the developers have just got to think better. They can't just peddle microtransactions and loot boxes that surprise mechanics as the core of the game. They have to give us a better core. But whilst that's easy to say, it's not necessarily that straightforward. Core mechanics take years to design, take years to fully realize. Ultimate Team started out as a side gimmick, effectively, a card sticker book, effectively, in Champions League games, 13, 14 years ago? I don't know how long it is now. But now they're this huge thing, and that realization has happened systematically over years, adding in SBCs, adding in other functions that weren't there originally. It's turned into this huge machine. That means they've gone from earning 2 billion a year to 10 billion a year. That means that the systematic production and development of that system has happened over the 15 years with it. If you just go, okay, get rid of that, start again, then that's a lot of profit, that's a lot of processes, and that's a lot of things that have been stripped back. So you'll naturally see businesses suddenly, rather than be attacking and go, here's new content, here's new licenses, here's new game modes, here's other ways for us to get your money, because that's kind of what it is. They go, oh, okay, let's go from attacking to be defensive. Let's be a little bit more, okay, we're not going to invest too much in developing that bit. We're not going to invest too much in developing other bits and so on. Obviously, the natural ideal would be that we do jump into return on investment cosmetics, return on investment purchases. So you buy something in game, you get what you pay for. You're not paying on surprise mechanics. You are paying for what you are paying for. But does that work specifically? I mean, Call of Duty said it did. Call of Duty said they earned more money in the first 3 months of Warzone than they've ever had with any sort of like loot boxes or DLC stuff ever before, because people knew they were buying specific skins.
Yeah.
It worked for Call of Duty, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for FIFA. But anyway, all of that said, there is a lot of stuff to keep in mind from a corporate side. A lot of people don't give a shit about the corporate side, but those corporate sides are the ones that make the games for us. So they do need to be considered, and there is a lot of potential risk there for these companies, which we have to kind of keep in mind because, yeah, we want the better stuff, but the companies have still got to go through it. There was some good.
How does this work for people who do gamble responsibility? I mean, it kind of sounds like I'm siding with the companies that are obviously extorting money from a certain demographic of people, shall we say, that may have gambling issues or something like that. But what about the people who do gamble responsibility, that enjoy putting 20 quid in on payday and seeing what they're getting from it? And then, for instance, YouTubers that make their money by opening packs and things like that. Like, is this just to try and save the minority, or is it the majority? I really don't know. I genuinely have no idea. I don't know the demographic of the people who are buying this and getting into problems, and then people who are fighting on behalf of people who don't know that they have a problem yet.
Yeah, there is all sorts of knock-ons like that. I mean, like you say, what about the people that essentially love gambling and video game crossovers? Well, that's it. Your opportunities are gone. Get out. I mean, will FIFA keep 18 plus elements in it to satisfy those people, or will they create separate elements that are just 18 plus? Yeah, it remains to be seen in that sort of sense. What was the other angle that you said? I completely just blanked. You talked.
I don't know which one you were just referring to. Then there was like, are people fighting on behalf of people who potentially don't know that they have a problem yet?
I mean, yeah. There's all sorts of questions for protection around that. I mean, ultimately, you kind of feel it has to be a good move for protection, but yeah, it's difficult. It is difficult because I mean, there we go. Asim's comments: 18 plus rating would f up both PES and FIFA, especially when it comes to licenses. I mean, that's something that's not factored in. If people enjoy loot box mechanics, and a lot of people do. Oh, it was the content creators. That was the other bit that you mentioned. There are people that base their entire industry off it. Content creators that their whole channel, their whole careers, all of their content is based around this system, and the ability to, or the lack of ability to get players from that system is what makes their content. I know from having conversations with the content creators that spend 10 grand across 1,000 smaller packs and get loads of players will get you all right, a lot of churny content. Spend 10 grand on one player that no one else can get, and you earn 100 grand back from it. It's buying at the top of the spectrum. The fact that things are difficult, the fact that people can't get stuff that's at the top of the spectrum, that's what makes the content creation industry around loot box games so desirable. You take all of that loot box and that pyramid away from FIFA and put everyone into a Warzone mentality where, okay, Ibra's on the store today and Ronaldo's on the store today, and anyone can buy them, then that kind of pulls the rug out of all of the content creation industry around it, which is another knock-on effect. Obviously, you can argue that that's good or bad in multiple different ways, but for content creators, where you've built your whole industry around this thing, and the whole industry just gets taken away from you, then that is a huge knock-on effect. Asim says, in turn, it would also hurt the main source of their revenue. This is for FIFA and PES, especially PES with my club, given that actually copper sales aren't comparably high. Well, exactly. I mean, PES it sells the game, and then it gives you PES Lite. That makes it, I mean, kind of abundantly clear. I don't have any stats, and I don't have this in official wording, but my assumption will be if you're giving away a light copy version of the game, then your revenue comes from in-game rather than sales of the game. That's kind of a logical jump. So if you take away revenue from in-game, then okay, is that desire still there? If it's a case of okay, I've not got something like Pokemon PvP, you open up your trading cards and you get Charizard, you feel like you are a don going into your next TCG game. But if everyone can just buy Charizard, then you know that the next time, and one of the complaints you'll have for online games by this point in FIFA and PES is most people have stacked teams in FIFA, most people have stacked teams in PES. People could just buy the stuff off the store, then people will have stacked teams. Not most people just will because they'll have purchased it. So it's how do you build that going forward? It is very difficult. I mean, I'm still firmly against loot boxes. I do believe it is gambling. I do believe that it's something that you almost kind of like think of it as reverse addicts. I mean, almost these brands are the addicts as well because they're addicted to the money in terms of they need to wean themselves off using loot boxes so that they can make the game sustainable. How do they keep that going forward? So it kind of needs to be something that broaches in over 3 to 5 years, whatever it is, where they change their systems into something else, and then loot boxes go poof, gone.
Is it just because it's in a digital format though? Like, let's be honest. Like, I grew up. I was born in 1990. I grew up in the 90s where Pokemon cards was a real thing. I could go to the shop. I could buy 4 or 5 packets of Pokemon cards and then 4 or 5 packets of Panini stickers. No batter and eyelid. I can still do that now. Kids can still do that now. Is there a reason why the digital side of it is coming into fruition now? Because I'm telling you now, it would be much easier for you to get your mum and dad's card, go to the corner shop, buy a load of Pokemon cards, and that will be seen as obviously still theft because it's still your parents' money, but it wouldn't be seen nearly as bad as it would be if you were buying FIFA cards because it's a digital format. Like, that's what I'm trying to get my head around, and I know it's very easy for me to say this now as a 30-year-old bloke that's lived through all of that stuff, and I'm just probably seen as I know I'm only 30-year-old, but to a lot of people who are probably in content creation, I'm probably a dinosaur. Yeah, but like I don't see. I can see why people are getting pissed off with it, and they need to try and change it. Maybe to try and tip the balance into their scales a little bit more, so that the time that they're putting in may be rewarded a little bit more efficiently. But in terms of like Pokemon cards has become a massive thing again. There is people who are spending £60,000 on Pokemon cards that are opening them to try and get these rare cards. No one's battering an eyelid. But as soon as someone wants to put, I don't know, £200 into FIFA, they're seen as having a gambling problem. I'm just trying to work out the pros and cons because for me it seems to be one size fits all. Not you can't be pick and choosy about where it is that you're spending your money. I mean, it's your own money at the end of the day. I know it's down to the kids' argument and you're getting them primed for gambling, but I don't. It's exactly the same as buying Panini stickers and buying Pokemon cards. They're all fit under the same thing. You are gambling your money to try and get something that's potentially either worth something or something that you can try and show off to your friends that you've got. I think that's the way that I see it. It's kind of a giant umbrella.
I think it kind of ties into what you said at the beginning. Like right at the start of that, you said, is it because it's digital? I think it is partially. You are paying. There's still resentment for digital property in terms of its intellectual property. It's not something you can physically hold on. You never really own it, and it's only available for 12 months. I think that's a bigger part of it. Not so much that it's digital, but the fact that it's digital, you pay for it and you get it for 12 months maximum, because then 22 comes out and then 23 comes out and then 24 comes out, and you spend a lot of money. You never own anything. But also the other thing that was discussed previously is there's no real weight to them either, in terms of in FIFA, you could work your ass off or throw money into a game to get the pack, and you will get a pack that just doesn't give you any value. I want to say value in terms of you can get a bunch of 81 rated players, and that is the same as getting nothing. Whereas at least in Pokemon TCG, everything is kind of useful, or Yu-Gi-Oh TCGs, everything's kind of useful. Everything, you keep them, they add to your collection, they never go away in that sort of sense. So I do kind of see those elements to it, but they are still very, very similar. And I think it's the lack of use for the other elements, because there was an article that we did cover in one of the many times we've covered loot boxes, and someone was breaking that down to say you could spend money and you could get everything out of that pack, and it is akin to getting nothing. You've got 7 players, some contract things, some whatever. I don't play FIFA, so I don't know. But whatever you get in that pack is akin to, well, I've just wasted my money because nothing there benefits me. I'm just going to quick sell it or whatever and get a percent back of what I've just spent, or 10% or whatever it is, which is pointless. Which is just, yes, great. I've just gone and thrown 90% of my money away. But yeah, there is an ongoing conversation about should things like Pokemon cards and TCGs and stuff like that be governed the same. Just those have a better system of using all of those other cards, though. Like in Pokemon, can you just go out? I mean, I don't actually know. Can you just launch out with a Charizard, or do you have to start with a Charmander and evolve it and stuff? I don't know, because I mean, even if that's not what happens in the game.
Yeah, you have to start off with a Charmander first.
So that kind of means there's a reason for that. Whereas you don't start off with kind of like, okay, you've crap Pokemon, let's go Fred. And then Fred drops out into your midfield. And then after a few games, you can skill him up and he turns into Paul Pogba. And then after a few games of that, you can skill him up and he turns into like Prime Moments Yaya Toure from that ridiculous season. And then you're like, oh my God, it's Yarizard, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Not Yarizard. That is something different, and that's not something that I would like to edit. But yeah, I think that probably has a bit of it. I mean, Gary says with Pokemon cards, you're invested in those cards regardless, and you know it. If you get a not so good card or an amazing one, I mean, they still have a use as well, even if they're not so good. Asim says, I think there's more of a focus because it's digital and you don't get to keep or carry over. Yeah, for sure. No difference from Panini sticker
you're still
books.
getting them for 12 months. Like, the reason you buy them in-game content is to try and have a decent team to try and compete. Like, you ask any child from maybe 10 to 20, shall we say, so a child to late teenager, and every single one of them will who are invested in FIFA or playing a game, or that's an esports game, every single one of them will pretty much have in their head that they want to be the best in the world at that game. And if that's what they have to do to try and, spend to try and get there, unfortunately, that's just what it is, isn't it? Because you have to take your best players into a game. It's the same as Pokemon. If I turn up with the fucking deck that I've got here, my ass would be handed to me at any Pokemon game. Like, I don't have a good set of cards. Now, having that Charizard may give me a better chance. If I had a Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur, I'd have a much better chance. Like, it's such a shit topic to try and discuss, because I always feel like I'm doing an injustice to the people that potentially have a problem, but I always feel like it's the opposite side. Like, people will probably try and fight a battle that doesn't need to be fought for the people who don't think that they've got an addiction yet, or they just invest their money wisely because they get much pleasure out of that. That's something that never gets talked about. I have friends that earn quite a decent bit of money, and they easily chuck in £50 a month to try and get better players in FIFA, because that's what they like to do with their money. If that's entirely up to them, I've got absolutely no problem with that whatsoever, because it doesn't affect me. I mean, like, it doesn't bother me whether or not they have a decent team or not.
I think it's all in the nuances as well, because you talked about getting that Charizard. If you got Gen 1 Charizard, that 120 HP bad boy, or whatever it was, you could still use that now in battles. Whereas if you get 100
well, there'll be much better Charizards.
Yeah, but you could still use it. Whereas if you get 100 rated Ronaldo now, even if there's a much crapper Ronaldo next year to begin with, your 100 rated Ronaldo doesn't compete. So would making stuff carry over, would that lessen the blow? Is that something that could, when we're talking about weaning companies off of loot boxes, could be that part of the weaning process, making the games have forward thinking, being able to carry over some of your team or all of your team, or having those sort of formats? That could be a way that it goes into it.
Well, I mean, you get it for 12 months. That you get it for the life cycle of a game. Again, it definitely feels like I'm giving an injustice to this whole thing, but people know what they're getting into before they buy it. Very much like what Gary said, you know when you're buying a Pokemon card, you're going to get it for that amount of time for however long that you keep it intact. You know full well that in 12 months that you're going to need to get these players again. And if that's what you enjoy spending your money on, why should we take that away from people?
That's the thing, though.
But I think we're fighting a much bigger fight for somebody that probably doesn't need it.
Yeah, you use the words enjoy. That's what you enjoy spending your money on. Some people go past it. The point of enjoyment, though, because like there's the whole phrase "when the fun stops, stop," and that's where the addictive elements come in. Coolan, thank you very much for the raid. Big Greg as well, thank you for the follow. But let's just enjoy the music. Yeah, Coolan, thank you very much for the raid. Appreciate you being here again. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, dude. If anyone wants to give Coolan a shout out, that would be very much appreciated. Nice, thanks. Nice. But yeah, it's the point of enjoyment, though. I mean, people you're almost kind of forced to enjoy it. If there is no alternative, then that is what it is. And there was the other bit where Plumerico says, no difference from Panini sticker books, and they've been around for 40 plus years. Whereas Gary says, it is, though, as with sticker collecting, you aren't hindered if you're collecting with digital gaming loot boxes. You are in some games if you don't invest in it, which is the point. Is like, if you don't enjoy that game, there's no real alternative, because that's the way that the game is made now. And then the other elements, which we'll have to put a pin in this story because we're running out of time. We've still got 2 more articles to jump in. The other elements are the chances of pulling Shiny Charizard is much, much, much higher than chances of pulling Ronaldo. I know people that have played Ultimate Team from day one and have never pulled Ronaldo or Messi. Whereas obviously, direct comparison, I'm not saying it's a perfect game either, but my club, you get Ronaldo or Messi on day one. Job's good and bosh. There you go. Move. So it's, yeah, there's all sorts of nuances. It's the finer details. That's what makes it such a complex situation. There is no full-on right or wrong. Loot boxes are bad. They're gambling. I agree they're gambling. I don't agree that they're bad. Not for everyone. I believe they are incredibly bad for some people, and that's where the difficulty comes in, because one size doesn't fit all. But in my opinion, getting rid of them is the best plan, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's a perfect plan. Doesn't necessarily mean that there's not going to be problems that come as a result of that too. Okay, Pin.
I also agree that obviously it shouldn't be allowed for kids to be able to do such things. If you've got a child's account, you shouldn't be able to access that area of trying to buy stuff. That's up to the parents to sort out. That shouldn't be, for us to try and sort out for them. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. Some good devil's advocate playing there in that one. GG's, by the way.
You're welcome, mate.
Anyway, jumping into the next bit of news. Interesting. Do you have an Xbox? If you do, Xbox console's new browser can stream Steam games. It can also stream Steam games, including Death Stranding. So do you know that console exclusive game, Death Stranding, that you can only play on PlayStation? You can now play it on the Xbox. GeForce Now support confirmed for new Edge. This is posted by Andy Robinson at VGC, and it says some Xbox users are now able to stream PC games to their consoles via a test version of Microsoft's Edge Chromium-powered browser and GeForce Now. We actually spoke about this just yesterday. The new browser allows you to play Stadia in it. As well as Stadia, you can play GeForce Now. Excuse me. Anyway, that might mention this, so apologies if I've just trip myself up for a repetition, but you enjoy my voice, it's fine. So as reported earlier this week, Xbox testers in the Alpha Skip Ahead group can now access the updated Microsoft Edge web browser on Xbox One and Xbox Series S and X consoles. Thanks to the improved compatibility support with Chromium, the browser will run web browser apps such as those for Google Stadia, Discord, Noise, and more. Crucially, GeForce Now's compatibility means that Xbox players can stream many of their Steam games to their console, including PlayStation console exclusive Death Stranding and ray-traced enabled versions of Cyberpunk 2077, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and more. This just gets better. Anyway, GeForce Now also supports the Epic Games Store, which means users can stream its store exclusives, including Hitman 3, Fortnite, and Rogue Company. Sony's other former console exclusives, Horizon Zero Dawn and Detroit Become Human, are not currently supported by the streaming service. As noted in a video by Joe Chip, embedded below, because the Edge browser does not currently support a mouse on Xbox, some games which require mouse and keyboard, such as Quake 2 RTX, do not play well via the browser. GeForce Now is available for free, as well as via a subscription for faster access and RTX support. The service differs from other services such as Google Stadia by allowing players to stream their existing Steam and Epic Game Store libraries onto a number of devices, such as smartphones or laptops. Okay, we'll stop there, because we've gone over what GeForce Now is in the past, how that differs from Stadia and xCloud and so on. But the gist of it is Xbox consoles have a new browser. It's only in testing at the moment, but Chromium, to give you the gist of it, is coding trickery. Chromium does allow a lot of functions to be run within the browser itself, naming like Stadia, which we spoke about, Discord, which we've also spoken about before, but GeForce Now, another cloud-based gaming platform. Huge additions to the Xbox string. Is it string of bows? Bows on a string? Whatever. Add another bow to the string. There's many bows on that string already. What are your thoughts, Bib?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely a much bigger story than the Stadia one that we covered yesterday, being able to be played on your Xbox, because that kind of defeats the object of having a Stadia if you're able to play it through your Xbox. Unless, obviously, your internet connection has a spotty area in the house and you're trying to do it on Wi-Fi, your Xbox may be Ethernet cabled, so you have a better chance of being able to play it. That's all well and good. But a lot of people will probably have a PC as well that play like me. I say it all the time. Like, I've got Games Pass on my PC. If I had an Xbox Series X, you know what I mean? I probably have Game Pass on that as well. I probably have the Ultimate one. But like, being able to play games from Steam and from the Epic Games launcher and stuff like that on my consoles on the other side of the house flawlessly, that is a much bigger story than I think the Stadia one is. This is fantastic. It's going from strength to strength, the Xbox, and we've said it so many times on here that the Xbox is a stupidly powerful console, and the exclusives was kind of the only thing that was holding it back. With stuff like this, it's definitely moving itself into a much stronger position against their competitors, regardless of whether or not there's any competition there in the first place. But it's becoming the console that has everything rather than just games. Again, we said this yesterday, but there was definitely too soon with the TV, the all-in-one media center. This is now becoming a much stronger reality for them, regardless of if you've got the X or the S. They're both insanely powerful consoles, one obviously more powerful than the other, but being able to have access to an even bigger catalog of games on a PC that you may own in the other side of the house, and you might want to be able to play these games from the comfort of your front room rather than sitting in a chair like this at a desk in your office. You might be much more comfortable down there. Your partner may want to watch the game that you're playing. Who knows? But this gives you options, and you can't argue with them for that.
Yeah, it is really good. I mean, you kind of worry though. This makes me start to think: does this hamper GeForce Now? Because GeForce Now, when it comes to Epic, we know GeForce Now has Epic support. Epic have said they believe the idea of being able to play games everywhere across the place. I mean, Epic are kind of in the same position we spoke about yesterday or the day before when we spoke about Xbox being in second place in the market. Xbox is the second console in the market. PlayStation first, Xbox second. It's fact in terms of sales, hardware and software. When you're in second, though, you take risks. You make things change. You have to make things change so you can get to first place. And Xbox have been smashing that completely consistently over and over again. Whether Chromium supporting the browser was meant for this or not, or whether this is just some lucky happening, I don't know. I mean, because this could, in theory, have implications for Xbox. If you can buy a game for £7 on Steam or 45 quid on the Xbox, okay, well, I'll buy it on Steam and play it through GeForce Now. Okay, nice. I'm going to do that. I mean, that could have knock-on effects. So you could start to see issues with that. So not just from Xbox, from PlayStation as well. If GeForce Now is where you play that, we've already seen games get pulled from GeForce Now because other brands either weren't aware it was coming or didn't want it to step on the toes of other business activity that they've had. So if PlayStation have Death Stranding as a PlayStation exclusive, this could be the case of, okay, Kojima Productions, you need to get rid of that from GeForce Now because now people can play it on the Xbox and it's ours. So get rid. So I mean, it could be good for Xbox, but it could be bad for GeForce Now in terms of that. That said, it could also be good for GeForce Now. If more games suddenly are available everywhere, you might start to see more games going, actually, if I can get on consoles but don't need to be on console, then you might see more console users creating a GeForce Now account, creating a Steam account, buying a few games through Steam just so that they can play it on their console. Oh, I've got a console. I don't have a PC good enough to play I can't think of any good Valheim. Say I don't know if you need a good PC for Valheim. Let's just say you do. For the example, I have a PC that's not good enough to play Valheim, but I can use Steam. And let's say Valheim is in GeForce Now. Okay, well there you go. For the sake of spending my 20 quid on Steam, I can now play Valheim on my PlayStation, not my Xbox, and the joy as well. Xbox Chrome browser, also Chromium browser uses Discord. I can chat with my mates through Discord whilst playing Valheim on my Xbox. I've got a PC in my Xbox. That's fucking genius. So Xbox, I mean, I'm not a PlayStation fanboy. I do have a PS5 sat there. I do not have an Xbox Series S or X in the house because my choice goes towards PlayStation first, but not through fanboyism. Xbox though, I mean, what has PlayStation added since launch? We know there's an exceptional controller. We know, well, if it works, obviously there's issues around that. We know that the games are next gen games, which Xbox doesn't really have. I'm not making that small. That's the main things. If you're going to play a next gen game, you want a good game and a good controller. That's your game. Everything else is kind of irrelevant once you're into the game. So they've nailed that. But beyond that, Xbox are absolutely smashing everything. If they bring in GeForce Now and all of the other games, that plugs the gaps until they bring out their full games. It's looking like it's going to be a good generation for Xbox. For sure. So if you're playing the Xbox, enjoy the next 7 years because it's going to be good.
Yeah. Very good.
Percussion in the chat. Good morning, dude. How's things? There with the Master Chief emotes. We like to see this. For those that don't know, we did raid Percussion last week at the request of Enix, and Percussion is local to us, I believe, Manchester based. But we've got a red and a blue on the stream, so you close enough. Anyway, so Xbox consoles, new browser can stream games, including Death Stranding. That's using the Chromium software. It will work with GeForce Now. It already has been confirmed to work with Stadia and Discord. So big moves, whether intentional or not, for Xbox users. Big news. But speaking of Steam users and having their libraries available on Xbox, well, some games you wouldn't have been able to play on Xbox, even if they were in your Steam library and GeForce Now compatible, as this final story, written by Chris Scullion at VGC, says Steam users perplexed as Counter-Strike Go and other games temporarily removed. 85 store items disappeared without explanation, including numerous games, movies, and DLC. A number of games, movies, and downloadable items were temporarily removed from the Steam store overnight, including Valve's own title, Counter-Strike Global Offensive. As spotted by Twitter user Gabe Follower, and recorded on Steam database, 85 separate store listings were removed from the Steam store at around 6 a.m. GMT or 1 a.m. ET. These included a number of games, including Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Section 8 Prejudice, and Pause and Clause Pet Vet, naturally, obviously a big game. Some DLC, including content for Fallout New Vegas, Batman Arkham City, and Street Fighter X Tekken, and Wolfenstein 2, and around 30 movies, including Ghost in the Shell, Standalone Complex, Paddington, and Halloween 2. The removals weren't simply limited to the game titles. As Steam database notes, every element of Counter-Strike Global Offensive was removed, including the store description, the listed categories, and all the screenshots and trailers. The items were all added back to the store 2 hours later, and at the time of writing, there has been no explanation for the incident. Due to the seemingly random nature of the items that were removed, it appears the disappearances were accidental. However, Steam database founder Pavel Judnik speculated that content removals could be related to geographical locks. Quotes, from a cursory look, a lot of these apps had various region locks, he wrote. Perhaps geo IP or something related started failing. End quote. Counter-Strike Global Offensive remains one of the most popular games on Steam with around... Okay, we don't need to know about Counter-Strike stats. All we needed to know is that they disappeared. But they're back. Nice. So, do you know what? Maybe you can play it on your Xbox. I don't know. I don't know if it is available through GeForce Now. I imagine probably not. But I don't know. If it is, if you're playing CSGO on an Xbox through a browser-based cloud software on a controller, you're probably going to get slapped anyway. But, worth trying. I mean, even Counter-Strike gone. GG. CS,
that's a great tile.
CS gone. Amazing. GG's Gary. GG's Gary. Do you know what? I think that's enough to put the pin in it. Nice. Ice cream gone. Well, we will be soon. Anyway, we're going to disappear. We've finished the end. We've reached the end, should I say, of the scoop. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for yet another episode. Whether you're watching live or listening or watching on demand, we appreciate you all being here. We will be back tomorrow with another episode, as we do each and every single weekday, Monday to Friday, and we will potentially be back with more content today, maybe, or tomorrow, maybe. I don't know. We have a busy week, so that we usually do jump on the afternoons and give you extra content, be that PES or PUBG or PGA or whatever we're in the mood for. Today, that might happen again. We'll just have to kind of see how things stack up. So we will finish the stream. We might drop a raid on someone, depending on whether we think we're going to jump on soonish. If we will jump on soon, then we won't drop a raid. If we won't, then we will drop a raid. You get the idea? Nice. Okay. The best way to find out when we do go live, though, is to drop a cheeky follow, and we've had a word with Twitch and we've made it free, so you can follow us for free. For now, it was free anyway. We didn't really have a word. So yeah, drop a free follow. Nice, lovely. Anyway, before we do disappear, Bib,
Yes.
Is there anything that you'd like to add?
Yes, again, thank you very much for each and every one of you that have joined us today. Nearly an hour and a half's worth of debate. But you enjoyed all that.
It was a mass debate.
Hey,
Bunter inside the place.
you beat me to it. That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, I was putting air in the old cheeks. I was going to give it the old. But anyway, yeah, thanks very much for watching. And if you do want to find out, if you do want to be a part of the show, there's two ways to do that. Find us on social media. It's at Ice Cream Rollers across all major social media platforms. If you want to get involved with our Discord, it should be in the chat, and it's also in the description below if you are watching this on YouTube. But if you want to be part of the show, that's the way to be able to find us. But at what time tomorrow, Mr. Graham Day, will we be going live with the next episode of The Scoop?
Well, like we do each and every weekday on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads, we go live at 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Ish. Thank you for the ish in the chat. And the Stay Frosties, which is how we finish the show if you've not been here before. So let's do that. Thank you for joining us. We will see you potentially soon, if not 10 a.m. ish tomorrow morning. Have yourselves a fantastic day.
Stay frosty.